Hey everybody, Bob Murphy here. As I'm recording this video, we've just come off what's at least round one of the standoff between the BLM and the Bundy Ranch, where there was a dispute over the payment of grazing fees for his cattle. The BLM came in and were going to round up his cattle. Protesters showed up. They were outraged by the sign saying First Amendment area. Then militia started showing up saying that we're going to stand up and respond if force is used. For a while there, things could have gotten ugly. Thank goodness they didn't get ugly, and let's hope there's not a round two. We don't know yet. But the point of this video is not to actually discuss the Bundy situation per se. Rather, I just want to comment on a poster I saw on Facebook that really surprised me. Specifically, it had a picture of helicopters and police vehicles on the ground regarding the Bundy situation, and the caption said something like, "I wish my federal government would devote this many resources to securing the southern border rather than harassing Cliven Bundy." And when I saw it, this particular poster had something like 18,000 shares, which is enormous. And what really surprised me was some of the people on my friends list, and I know their worldviews, they were sharing it with obvious enthusiasm, thinking this thing was hilarious. And so that's the contradiction I want to just discuss in this video. So let me be clear, the person who made that poster and maybe 15,000 of the people who shared it as of the time that I saw it, their worldviews could very well be totally consistent. You know, they think the government's too big. They think that government spends too much on welfare and food stamps, and we really just need to get back to basics, follow the Constitution, that sort of thing. Yeah, that's fine. If that's your worldview, if you think the government needs to cut 20% of the budget, go to a flat tax or a fair tax, and then things will be back to normal, and that's all we really need to do, tweak some of the things here and there, maybe get in some good solid Republicans, some conservative Republicans. That's fine. Okay, then that poster makes sense, and I would get why you would think that poster was hilarious. More power to you. I'm not talking to people like that with this video. I'm talking to people who have a much more alarmed perspective, who think that the federal government is actually part of a broader worldwide campaign to erode liberties and to turn Western democracies into police states. Okay? If you have that kind of worldview, I would suggest the last thing in the world you want to see is the federal government start building a big wall. Because if the federal government has the power to keep people out, it's got the power to keep you in. Think of it like this. Imagine a Martian up there in a flying saucer in orbit looking down at the United States. From that vantage point, just over the years, checking in periodically, it certainly would look like there was a conscious effort to turn the United States into a giant police state. Without getting into the motives, without following the press and the public discussions and the pros and cons and so on, but just to see the actual unfolding of what was happening, it sure would look like it, wouldn't it? You would see the construction of giant prisons such that the United States could house arguably the largest prison population on Earth. I say arguably because we're not sure about the statistics from China. You would see the U.S. clearly have the largest, most powerful military on Earth. Depending on the year you pick, at times coming close to spending half of the world's military expenditures itself. You would see it have a worldwide network of surveillance, snooping on people's emails, phone calls, so forth, even government officials and other governments with whom we're allegedly on good terms. You would see its intelligence organization run a worldwide network of secret prisons. That was in the New York Times. That's not a conspiracy theory. Oh yes, let's not forget, you would see the leader of this government oversee a program of flying killer robots that could go all over Earth and claim the legal authority to use these killer robots to kill a U.S. citizen anywhere on planet Earth without a trial, just so long as the president and his advisors determine among themselves, without bringing a pesky judge into the situation, that that person constituted a threat to national security. And they could just use one of those flying killer robots to take the person out. End of story. No appeal, nothing. Okay, so you could see on paper, one could arguably make the case that the United States federal government was overseeing a slow but sure progression from the United States from what it was into what is a police state. Okay. What would be the second last step in that progression? When would you know that, whoo, it's coming? Wouldn't it be to see that government overseeing the construction of a giant wall around the border so that nobody could get out? Now, of course, if that did start to happen, and then the aliens zoomed in for a closer listen, they wouldn't hear the government officials telling everybody, okay, guess what? Actually, we're a bunch of tyrants. All along, we've been plotting to take away your liberties, and this is the final step, right before we drop the hammer. We're just building this wall so you literally can't escape anymore. Haha, surprise! No, they wouldn't say that. What they would say is, well, yeah, the budget's tight. We got to make tough choices all over the place, but the people have spoken. You're sick and tired of these Mexicans coming in and stealing your jobs, overwhelming the public school system. We hear you. We hear you. Uncle, we will finally build that giant wall. We'll have the dogs. We'll have the guys with night vision goggles patrolling. We'll have the helicopters. We'll build the moat. We'll put up the electric fence, what have you. Yes, we will do what you people asked for to protect you, to keep out those drug traffickers, all those horrible things that we know are being caused by this porous southern border. We'll solve that. And we'll have this wise expenditure of public funds on your behalf because you live in the best, freest country on earth. God bless America, as they build that wall. Just some food for thought. Thanks, everybody. This has been Bob Murphy.